These are the stories about the people who live in Bristol and the things and activities that are their passions. This is Ron Humble. Ron collects cars, some very nice cars, some very fast cars, and some very unusual cars. Now, every car that he has is for sale, but when you talk to Ron, you get the feeling that these cars are a lot more than just items on an inventory list.
I've just been in it since full with cars since I was 15 years old. It's just been a hobby of mine. I've always enjoyed it. And my first car, I spent a fortune on it while I was in high school every minute, and penny I got, I spent on it fixing it up. And it's just been a bad disease ever since.
This is one of his favorite cars. It's a British-made Lomax.
It was built on a Citroen 2CV, so it's got that little front-wheel drive, two-cylinder, 360cc motor.
In case you missed that, he said 360 cc's, which is about half the size of a respectable motorcycle engine. The engine hangs out of the side of the body like an old airplane engine because, like most airplane engines, it's air-cooled. And oh yes, there is one more thing. The Lomax only has 3 wheels.
Kind of like driving a motorcycle without being on a motorcycle. It drives and rides like a car, sports car, and handles good. Gets more attention than anything I've ever owned, I guess.
On the day that we shot this story, Ron wasn't available to take the car out for principal photography, so he allowed Kelly, one of his employees, to take it out. I think Kelly really liked this car.
I don't know, it's just everywhere you go, little old ladies, kids, everybody just turns and stares at it. I think 19 out of 20 people will look at you going down the road. It's, you know, if you get a real exotic car or something, you know, you get maybe 2/3 of them look at them or half the people driving by. But this car, almost everybody gets their attention. I've always been intrigued with the British cars. When I first started in business, I just worked on British cars for years, up to about the early 90s. Then we started getting in American classics and some some high-performance cars and sports cars. I just like all kinds of cars. If it goes fast or just an original car, I really appreciate all of them. You know, they all got their place, and they're just they all got their own personality and style. And it kind of reflects what you are that day, I guess.
When we come back, you'll see how this world-famous hotel has a connection with one of Mr. Humble's prized possessions. This is the Ritz Hotel in Paris. It's been called the world's greatest hotel and the hotel of the century. Our story is about this hotel in the 1930s. The list of people who stayed here during that time include British royalty, Adolf Hitler, Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt, and just about every Hollywood star and starlet of that era. Ernest Hemingway actually lived here. So what does the Ritz have to do with Ron Humble's shop on 5th Street in Bristol? It's all about this old Rolls-Royce that is being meticulously restored at Ron's business.
This was a 1935. It's ordered by the Ritz Hotel in Paris originally and used by them for a few years. We tracked the history and got the bill sheet on it when it was built new at the factory. And we didn't know that we got the lady's name that worked at the Ritz that had it ordered and stuff. And they ordered one the next year just like it, same features and options on it. And they were just used there for their celebrities and guests at the hotel.
No one is really sure about who actually rode in this car, but it's pretty certain that Hemingway rode in it, along with most of the Hollywood stars of that period.
But this one here kind of fell through the cracks for many years. I guess it was just stored by someone. I think it maybe was in Alabama or New Orleans. I can't really remember. And then a local businessman here got it somewhere in the 70s or 80s. And he'd run it parades here in town, I think, some. And we obtained it, and we're kind of just going over detailing everything, trying to put everything back original.
So where would you find parts for a 1935 Rolls-Royce?
Not very easy. There have been a few old-timers around the country that bought up the cars, the old ones that were bad and wrecked and this and that. And you can search around and you can find a piece for them here and there sometimes, but A lot of times you just have to hand make a piece on something like this. A 30-35 limousine, they called it. It was built by the coach works by Barker. There were several coach builders when these cars were sold. RollsRoyce actually built the drive line and the framework, and then they had different coach builders, and they'd build whatever you want.
This old car looked like every limousine I'd ever seen in a movie, right down to the enormous headlights. And yes, he does have the radiator that makes it look like a Rolls-Royce. Yeah,
those radiators cost a fortune to try to fix. They were all, actually all the way up into probably the 80s. They may still be doing it. They had guys, that's all they did was make the radiators and the shells, and they were kind of custom made for each individual car.
We're going to leave you dreaming about what it must have been like to be one of the special guests at the Ritz Paris back in 1935 and bring this episode of Bristol's Passions to a close. If you have something you like to do that you're passionate about in the way of a hobby, let us know about it by calling 423-764-4171 or sending us an email at the address on your screen. If you do, we just might be at your door one day wanting to feature your story on BTN TV.